Hey boys and girls, it's Nightstalker here. Welcome along today to my preview of Season 12. Check it out. Been on the PTR server today and had a bit of a meet up with the other Conqueror's Blade content creators and of course some of the staff behind the scenes as well. So hopefully you caught that Twitch stream early on. If not, here we are today to give you a little bit of a summary about how it all goes. So very first thing today I just want to show you before we launch into the Battle Pass is that this is the level 100 skin for the season. But look at this. You can turn off your face mask now. And also, if you don't like your cloak for some strange reason, you can also turn off your cloaks. Each different attire has different variations of options that you can do with this one. So that's pretty darn fantastic. Anyway, Battle Pass. Let's go all the way back down and we'll have a quick scan through. So it's a relatively standard Battle Pass. The only thing is that this season, the all heroes, so the people who are free-to-play players as well, actually get a lot more stuff, man. Like a lot more stuff. Things to note. Here is Loki, the level 1 Battle Pass attire for heroes. And again, you can remove the little face mask there if you want to see your face with the Loki horns. That's okay. Quite a nice avatar there, but those don't really play much part in the game, so we'll just continually skip over that. Huge chest of resources. Oh, there's the banner, Thor's hammer. See how you get a lot of these keys? I was quite impressed by that. And here's where you start getting a lot of stuff as a free-to-play player. See how you get one on every level? This is this is legendary. Come at me, bros. You love it. What else we got? See, still another whole screen of free stuff for free-to-play players. Here is the unit attire. I don't know why they display it on the horse all the time, but this unit attire does have a horse part to the attire. But as you can see, it's generally a very Northman-style cloak and helmet. More free stuff. Look at this. Look at all the powdered silver you get. Oh, that's so good to see lots of powdered silver. Again, for free-to-play players, another whole couple of loaded decks. Here we go. Here is the horse attire, level 70. This attire is the GOAT. You can use that one if you want to. And of course, here are all the attires for the weapons. We'll go over those in a second. What else we got for Battle Pass? Oh, yes, we've got a legendary artillery box. No bombard. It's okay with me, believe it or not. We've got a kneel and flex, so we have the old flex emote, but now we have a kneel and flex, so you can chain flex emotes if you're feeling very flexy. And here is, of course, the level 100 Battle Pass attire. And look, if you're a free-to-play player, 500 blades on reaching level 100. So pretty darn good, all things entirely said. With that, let's have a real quick look at what those attires actually onto a unit, shall we? Right, so here's some of these attires. Beautiful. Here we go. Short sword. Very Norse short sword. Got ourselves a giant axe on a stick. That's fun. This is particularly cool. I quite like this long sword. It's, or the shield, rather. Look at the meaty sword. Very good. I very much enjoy this one. There's another axe on a stick. We've got a pointy stick. Stick that is pointy. Look at this. The Nadachi this season is quite interesting. It's always got that weird curve at the end of it, doesn't it? But it's a giant chunky sword. Beauty. Another pointy stick. Try and get a good view of that. Pointy sticks will look the same if you ask me. This gun, this is one of the best guns I've ever seen in the game. It's got an axe on it, man. Check it out. And it's a dragon mouth. I think that's probably, I'm going to get that just for cool factor. Musket's one of my off-class weapons I like to play. Got ourselves a nice clean bow. Some nice clean lines on that. Short bow's kind of cool, especially with the little dart pouch, the itty-bitty dart pouch. Again, nice clean lines on the weapon. These look like butcher's cleavers, man. These are probably the heftiest looking dual blades in the game so far. They look, you know, sax, however you pronounce that knifey word. And they're very murdery. And of course, I mean, everyone's favourite is the Maul, of course, but like, this is probably the best Maul of all time, because it's literally Thor's hammer. Here's the unit attire. I'll show you just, I think we've covered that. And there's the goat. And some of the returning attires are actually pretty cool as well because of the recolours. Like the red is very cool. But you can probably look at that in your own time, all the returning ones. We've seen them before. So just real quick, let's equip the unit with the attire, and we'll cover the units properly later. Check it. Check it. Right, moving on. Just before we get started on the runes, I just want to talk to you about something. We've got something here called Roar of the North. Now, this is a new mechanic. This new mechanic triggers for 10 seconds, and each individual trigger has a context for it triggering. So this triggers Roar of the North after using an ultimate skill, for example. Triggers Roar of the North after after killing a hero. And a lot of these chain together. So you'll get things like, Roar of the North. Well, it's an effect, you'll get additional damage reduction, right? So you can chain them. And all of the Roar of the North triggers come off the helmets. And so far, there's only 2. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how this mechanic goes. Let's fully check out the runes now. Okay, so this one here I particularly like. Every second, throughout the entire game, you're going to get 0.5% health back per second. Now, for your average longsword, that's about 165 health back every second you're in the entire game. So that's pretty darn nice. But let's look at the runes real quick now. Now, I advise you, I'm going to flick through these pretty quick because otherwise it'll be an extremely boring video. So if you want to see any of these ones, get your finger ready now to hit the pause key. So here's your old standards. We need some elevator music while we're doing this. Some of these are quite crazy. Have a look at the dual blades skills particularly. What we all really need, is a nerf to longbow and a buff to maul. I think that's probably a fair description of what we've got in the future, don't you think? I hope this isn't too dull. Hope you're taking all this in. Use that pause button liberally. And the elevator music continues. Do, 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 do. Alrighty. Let's move on now to some units, shall we? Alrighty, so let's check out these 2 new units. We've got the tier 4, which is a 4.5 star, Vigor's Fangs. However you pronounce that. I'd love to know how to pronounce some of these names that we get out there. And we've got Axes of the North, which just Huskarls, basically. They're absolute brutal units. And you say, why? Why, Knight? Why are these units so brutal? Well, let's talk about this one first. Now, the first thing I want you to notice is that they have 5 skills, right? The Huskarls get information in front of the hero to help fight off enemies and then move along with the hero. You might call that a cover commander. The Huskarls beat their weapons to the tune of an ancient war song, inspiring themselves as well as their northern colleagues, increasing movement as well as slashing and blunt armor penetration, and reducing their damage taken. The longer the war song lasts, the more inspiring it becomes. Huskarl Charge. The Huskarls charge toward the nearest enemy, launching a continuous attack. And that will actually scale off things like this, how you get multiple hits to cause stuns. Sea Surge. The Huskarls charge towards the nearest enemy and launch one all-out attack. So that is like a button press, do lots of damage type skill. Gathering Storm. The Huskarls make a short sprint forward. If they collide with an enemy, they will immediately knock them down. So that, as you can see, is kind of crazy. So using the Skald Song encourages nearby Northland units, increasing their movement speed, slashing armor penetration and blunt armor penetration, while also reducing the amount of damage they take. I'm skeptical of how this skill will be useful in the long term, because unless you're playing stacks and you've all decided to play Northmen, it's not going to be particularly useful, is it? Although when these units first come out, they are going to stack quite nicely. Haim's Warsong. Skald Song improves the combat ability of the Huskarls. The longer the chant is active, the stronger the effect. While chanting, damage taken by the Huskarls will be increased by 50%. So they're very vulnerable while they're charging up. And of course, just like all the other seasonal units, they will of course get a leadership reduction at the start. So let's have a look here. Both of the main lines seem to be centered around doing less damage. Boar's Snout is this one, the cover commander-y looking thing. Well, it's not really a cover commander. We'll have a look at that soon. And this one here, the ultimate for the line here is that the Razor Sharp effect can stack 3 times on the target. The 4th attack will immediately inflict a 1-time bleed effect. So which one was it? Razor Sharp effect. Razor Sharp effect. Razor Sharp effect. I can't find that. Be interesting. Be interesting to see how that works later. This one's quite nice. Shield attacks stack 3% slow effect on the target, and the 4th attack will immediately stun the target. That sounds pretty good to me. I don't know which of these two I will choose yet. I've barely touched the unit, so we'll just have to see how we go. Yeah, that's not that good. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. That's probably worth one considering. We'll see what it works out like in practice, but they can heal, but they're even more vulnerable while they're healing, while they're doing their song. Wait till you hear their song. All right, so the other one is the Tier 5, Axes of the North. Now, one of the primary things I want to point out about these two units is that they both can equip sword and shield doctrines. So what, you might say? And if you say so what, you'd be wrong. Wrong. Do you know why? This is the first Tier 5 unit in the game that can equip Ironside's doctrine. There are no other Tier 5 units that can do it. And when you just think about that a little bit more, just have a little bit more of a think about what sort of stuff that you can put on this T5 unit, given that it's a sword and shield unit. Right? 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 Oh, that's cute. Anyway, you get the point. So let's have a look at their veterancies. So these guys have 6. Count them, 6. 6 skills. Unbreakable. While soldiers are holding up their shields, movement and attack speed are reduced by 30%, and damage taken is reduced by 30% after a successful block. Damage taken is reduced by 60% for 1 second. So it kind of helps them not get swamped. It's like an anti-swamp type skill, and that's really nice. On top of that, of course, when they're unbreakable, they're much harder to kill generally. Raging Onslaught. The soldiers pull out their 2-handed axes, increasing all types of armor penetration and damage by 300 points and gaining new rage skills. It's worth noting that, like the Shield Maidens, they switch backwards and forwards between sword and shield and 2-handed axes. Obviously, that's not what the Shield Maidens have, but kind of the same sort of thing. A complex unit to use for sure. Great Sweep. The unit consumes 30% rage to make a horizontal sweep with their axes. They also have rage like Berserkers, PS. Gaining control immunity for 2 seconds, which is amazing. Soldiers with less than 50% health will get a 50% damage boost, and 20% of their maximum health will be restored. They will also knock down enemies. Okay, there is so much to unpack in that Great Sweep skill, it's ridiculous. So take that in your own time. Colossal Strike. The unit consumes 30% rage. I just want to point out now that we're up to 60% total if you were to chain these abilities. Rage to initiate a full power attack, gaining control immunity for 2 more seconds. Soldiers with less than 50% health. What? This is the same? Will damage boost and 20% of their maximum health will be restored. They also knock down enemies. I am confused. Because I haven't used the unit much, I'm sure that will become much clearer to me later. Anyway, what you'll notice now is this one consumes 40%, which you may or may not have noticed. That adds up to 100% quite nicely. Rage to charge the enemy and attack with the long axes. Gaining control immunity for 2 seconds, the same. Gain 50% health if they're under 50%. 50% damage boost and 20% of their maximum health will be restored. They will also knock down enemies. When the rage is all being consumed, this skill will end and the unit will return to wielding swords and shields. And of course I've just put the Ironsides Doctrine on, and that's why they have 6 skills and I'm an idiot. So they have 5 skills. I've made the 6th one. They're fire resistant, as most T5 are. While wielding swords, the unit can build up rage by taking damage and defeating heroes. So we'll see how good they are at defeating heroes. While wielding axes, the unit can spend rage by using skills. And of course, they get their 10% leadership reduction. The one I've ended up having a look at is this one here. Just initially. Of course, I don't really know how these are going to play in matches, and the PTR server's ability to actually produce matches for us to play with is virtually nil. Like, it's all impossible. I can't even really get into the unit training screen. It's not amazing. But that's all right. This unit is amazing. You can split. Anything that has these double lines like this, typically, well, in my experience, it's the double prong lines end up being quite good, so they're always worth considering as probably the primary. And it's no exception for this one. Shield bashing now inflicts knockback. I'm interested in that one. It was just more damage melee reduction, but they heal, right? So I think it's probably one of, a combination of these 3, but we'll see how we go further on. Just in case you wanted to see it, just a casual 16,000 hit points, a unit count of 16. Just 16,000 hit points, don't worry about it, it's fine. The damage is quite comparative to other units in the same era, so like Celadars and whatnot, they're fairly typical. 590, 570, 515, is that the same? Is that what I saw? No, these guys are tougher. These guys got 12,500, so they're no slouches either. That's like monastic cavalry level level of damage. And they've 20 damage absorption, and that's 21 unit count. Not slow either at 5.2. How fast were these guys? Speed 5.1. Whoa, they're not slow. Not even remotely slow. Anyway, let's head over. I'll show you how these play in a little bit of PvE. Let's go. Okay, boys and girls, so here we are. We're checking out Vagga's Fang, the Huskarls. Now, they have a couple of basic, formations. Dispersed is your average anti-artillery, anti-ranged formation. The second is Huskarl Shield, so it's a layered shield formation. We put them in F2. You'll see that very quickly. Watch this, I do a little hoorah. And yeah, they're a solid little formation now. This unit I've been playing with, it seems reasonably tanky. Biggest thing is it doesn't have a natural charge. You'll see that the abilities here are the song that we talked about prior, and the cover commander in inverted commas. It's not a cover commander per se, but it is. So I'll show you that one first. Put them in number 1, Boar's Snout. So it's a cover commander, but they stay in front of you, right? So it's in some ways better for some classes. Doesn't matter which way you turn, they'll go into the Boar's Snout. So let's put them back into the number 2 ability, and I'll talk to you about this one here, the Skald Song. The longer they sing, the more buff they'll get, and the number of abilities that they use are related to this. So you'll have to watch quick. After I hit this button, you'll have to see how it goes. So here we go then. We'll hit 2. You'll notice that now, in the first stage, they'll be able to do Gathering Storm. When it comes up to the second stage, they'll be able to do Sea Surge. And when it comes up to the third stage, they'll be able to do the Huskarl charge. Watch this. So the buff wears off over time as well, so you do have time to use it. But of course, every time you go down the scale of your buff from your singing, your sea shanties for Vikings, you will also have reduced buffs, basically. Dump, 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 dump. Now don't forget, they take additional damage while they're powering up. So let's put them in the boars. They're quite fast too. This is me running at full speed, and they're keeping up. So we'll put them in there, and then we'll start singing. And we'll drink with them. Drink, drink, drink. Well, not drink. Tip out the drink. And then we will charge. It's just not your day, is it? Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. So, let's have a look. Let's try them against a shielded unit without any of their buffs on. So note, of course, that they don't have a charge. So we're going to micro them. By micro, I mean I'm going to keep them grouped up by hitting X, and then I'm going to hit V. Mulchy, mulchy, choppity chop. What do you reckon? Let's go back and we'll start them singing, and we'll try and trigger them on their second part of their skill. Sing, boys! And away. Lots of knockdown. Beautiful, beautiful knockdown. What about the next one? And you'll notice that as they go down through the ranks, like you can use the power them up. You can charge in with that one, then they go down a rank, and then you can use that skill straight away because it's not on cooldown, and then they go down a rank and you can use the next one straight away. You don't need to recharge every time to use the skill once. It is possible to use all of the skills together. Let's just go and demo that real briefly for you. If any of them live past the first assault, I should say. Yeah, boys, sing! There we go. So the first go in, and then once the power bar goes down one, you can use it straight away. And then once the power bar goes down again, you can use the last one. Although it's a little bit crazy. I'll have to get better at working that out. Let's go check out the other unit now. Alright, here we go. We've got the Axes of the North. The Mega Huskarls, the Giga Huskarls. And like the Shield Maidens, you've got two sets of weapons, but you can't switch between the two sets of weapons freely like you can with Shield Maidens. This unit appears at first look to be a semi-defensive unit, similar to the Shield Maidens, then that they go from being a defensive unit and then go on the offense. And let me show you quickly how these skills work. So this is their Unbreakable Shield. Well, here's the second formation. It's a natural shield wall, right? You know, and it's quite a tough shield wall too. It's also kind of less porous than you might think looking at that. You can go into the number 1 ability, which is a 7-second cooldown, by the way. Very short cooldown. So they get the movement and attack speed are reduced by 30%, but their damage taken is reduced by 30%. After a block, the damage taken is reduced even further by 60%. And that's really good. I mean, that's really good. And what they do is, like the Berserkers, they take damage and they power up. See this axe? You can barely see it here. This axe, that's their power bar. And as they take hits, that will build up, build up, build up. And once you get through it, you'll start being able to cycle back through your Rage Onslaught and the other skills that we pointed out before. Ordinarily, you would probably cycle them relatively quickly, but I'm going to cycle them relatively slowly just to be able to show you each of them and show you the context as well. So let's try that. Let's go kill some peasants. Neat little shield wall, this. They're not particularly fast. They don't feel as fast as probably their stat suggests. So here we go. Initially, they're not going to do much damage because we're going to tell them to do less damage, right? We're going to tell them to do 30% less. Even in this mode, they still do quite a significant amount of damage. I mean, these are training room mobs, right? But typically the new units are very, very high damage. Like unusually high. Like in free mode, these guys do about 4,000, 5,000 damage to these guys. So we need another unit because we didn't power up enough. Here we go. What we got? Sword and shield. Perfect. Perfect. So here we go. We'll go into our defensive mode. Hopefully we'll take enough damage this time. Ready. Berserk. Go. Cycle through. Cycle through. Cycle through. And then cycle through again. Crazy, huh? Crazy, crazy, crazy. Look at the damage they're doing there. So they're back to sword and shield now. If you're just going to use them straight up, they're not useless outside of their skills, is what I'm trying to show you here. They are perfectly capable. They don't have a natural charge. In fact, they don't have one at all, really, apart from cycling their skills. So this is the unit microing them. They've got their axes out now, so they're doing slightly less damage. And like most sword and shield units, it's hard to get through a shield. But as you can see, you're going to mostly be wanting to use this unit, I would say, in a counter-attack sort of way, because certainly they're not ideal when you're just using them like this. They're not really a flanker unit, they're definitely some sort of front liner. Alrighty, I think that's all we've got for today. Well, boys and girls, that's the end of our quick overview for today. I hope you learned something new, or you've just enjoyed the video. There's a lot of exciting things going on with Season 12. I've only managed to really scratch the surface here in this video today, so there'll be plenty for you to explore when this comes out in a couple of days. Anyway, have a great time. We'll see you then. Ka kite.